Good morning, Kids Gig. I'm so happy to see you today. Happy Sunday. I'm here with our friends Katie and Peter, and you might remember them from doing our friendship circle before we would go upstairs. And so I thought it would be so fun to do our Kids Gig video this morning together with Katie and Peter. So pretend you're at the friendship circle. We're in our own friendship circle here, and we're going to sing about the wise man, because our lesson today has to do with people who built their lives on Jesus. So here we go. You ready?
Yes.
The wise man built his house upon the rock. The wise man built his house upon the rock. The wise man built his house upon the rock, and the rain came tumbling down. The rain came down and the floods came up. The rains came down and the floods came up. The rains came down and the floods came up, and the house on the rock stood firm. The foolish man built his house upon the sand. The foolish man built his house upon the sand. The foolish man built his house upon the sand, and the rains came tumbling down. The rains came down and the floods came up. The rains came down and the floods came up. The rains came down and the floods came up, and the house on the sand went splat. Thank you guys, that was fun. So today we're talking about people who built their lives on Jesus and some things that may have happened to them. So our lesson today is when Jesus said, "Blessed are the persecuted, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven." And we talk about persecuted being when people are unkind to someone because of their love for Jesus. So I have a question for you, Katie. Who is someone you admire who was persecuted?
I admire the Apostle Stephen because he was persecuted, and he even died because he believed that Jesus was the Son of God.
Wonderful. Thank you, Katie. Peter, what about you? Who's somebody that you admire who was persecuted for their love of Jesus?
I admire Dr. Martin Luther King because he followed Jesus wholeheartedly, and he was fighting for civil rights, and he followed Jesus, and he was killed for his faith in Jesus.
Absolutely. I'm so glad you brought him up too. I admire a lady named Corrie ten Boom. She loved Jesus, and so she loved others and helped protect them from Nazis in Germany. And because she protected them, she was put in the concentration camps too. But when she was in there, she was still telling people about Jesus. It was amazing. So I really admire Corrie ten Boom. So many change makers of the past were unpopular while they were living, like Dr. King and Stephen and Corrie ten Boom. And this happens a lot. So sometimes people who bring about change or justice are often unpopular with many people around them. And this happened to Jesus too. So we have been talking about Jesus going on top of the mountain and preaching to the people. And one of the things that he talked about were these Beatitudes. And we like to call them the Beatitudes. Attitudes for how to be. Isn't that clever? So we're going to climb the mountain together with all the Beatitudes that we've been doing. So let's crouch down low like we're at the bottom of the mountain, and then we'll climb higher and higher. So Jesus said, "Blessed are you when you're poor in spirit, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven." We'll climb a little higher. "Blessed are you when you mourn, for you will be comforted." We'll climb a little higher. "Blessed are you when you're meek, for you will inherit the earth." Climb a little higher. "Blessed are you when you hunger and thirst for righteousness, for you will be filled." Climb a little higher. "Blessed are you when you show mercy, for you will be shown mercy." "Blessed are the pure in heart, for they will see God." Climb a little higher. "Blessed are the peacemakers, for they will be called sons of God." And here's our lesson for today. Blessed are those who are persecuted because of righteousness, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. So Jesus told them about God's kingdom on this mountain. And we can think of a kingdom as the way the world works or as the way the world is set up. And in God's kingdom, there is abundance. There's more than enough honor, food, money, love, power, and resources for every child of God to thrive. I want you to think about a time when maybe you did the right thing, but you got in trouble for doing it. Or maybe you didn't get in trouble, but someone criticized you or made you feel bad. Think about how you felt when that happened. Maybe you felt like it was unfair. No one understands this feeling and experience better than Jesus. His whole life was about bringing God's kingdom to earth. This kingdom was and is so different from the world of Jesus' day and our times now. One time when Jesus was teaching in the synagogue, he saw a woman who had not been able to stand up straight for 18 years.
Wow.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah.
He had mercy on her and he healed her. But the religious leader of the synagogue was upset with Jesus because he believed Jesus had broken one of the Sabbath laws by healing her. Nice that you healed her, but you broke a law. He tried to turn the listening crowd against Jesus, but Jesus responded by saying that God wants all people to be set free and made whole. That is the purpose of those laws. Then the people listening rejoiced at the wonderful thing that Jesus was doing. As Jesus continued to tell them about God's kingdom and help them live it out, other religious leaders came to Jesus and told him he must leave immediately. The Roman ruler Herod wanted to kill Jesus. People wanted to kill Jesus because they did not want change in their government or in their power. They liked making all the decisions. They liked getting richer and more powerful, and they didn't care what happened to anyone else. Persecution is when people are treated badly and unfairly, especially because of their race, identity, or beliefs. And Jesus told them that when you work to bring God's kingdom on earth, you can expect there to be people who react harshly. It's just going to happen. Even though this is really hard to face and experience, Jesus told his followers persecution is a normal part of living out God's love. You are actually blessed as a result of people persecuting you. So Peter and Katie and I were talking about some ways that persecution makes us feel. So Peter, we talked about fear, and why does fear sometimes make people treat others unkindly or unfairly? What do you think?
Well, because what fear does is people who are fearful want to make other people fearful because they don't want to be alone in the fear. They want to encourage other people to be fearful like them so they won't feel alone and outcast.
That's a great point, Peter. Thank you. Yeah, maybe you can think of another way about how fear makes people treat other people unkindly or unfairly. Maybe you can talk about that with your family. And Katie, we were talking about the way that Jesus faced persecution. What about you? How do you feel knowing that Jesus faced persecution?
I think that it makes me feel really, not good, but it makes me feel comfortable because Jesus knows what I'm going through. And so he knows how to help me through it. And
That's okay, yeah. You're right. He does that with everything, right?
Uh-huh.
And persecution is just one way that he experienced what we experience.
Yeah.
Great point,
Helps us
Katie.
to go through it. And we can turn to him and focus on God like he did instead of focusing on our problems that make the persecution worse.
Absolutely.
We can focus on God instead.
Wonderful. Thank you. We can build our life on the rock, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like the wise man.
Mm-hmm.
So when we want to leave you guys with a blessing, and before I do, I just want to say thank you to Katie and Peter for joining me today and for doing this all together. It's been a joy. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Yeah.
You're welcome.
So here's here is our blessing. Katie and Peter and I would like to bless you, kids. A blessing is something you receive. So open your hands like you're ready to receive a gift. And I will speak a blessing. And if you receive it, you can take the blessing and you can put it in your heart. And here is our blessing. May God bless you with the courage to make hard choices, even when people don't understand. We love you and we'll see you next time.